Hey guys, welcome to the video. We are talking today about pleasure and pain. And no, this isn't a kinky video. This really actually has to do with our brains, with neuroscience. But in particular, the reason I'm sharing this with you today is because once you understand this kind of brief and simple concept, you can hack your way through the habits that you have and start to understand why you have certain habits and start to understand how you can actually change them up effectively to create the lifestyle that you want. Hey Walter, thanks for watching. So if you and I don't know each other, my name is Tara. I'm a registered nurse, a health coach, a nutritionist, and a personal trainer. So let's get into pleasure and pain. Pleasure is the thing that our brain is wired to seek out. And pain is the thing that our brain is wired to avoid. And it comes down to survival of the species, of course. And I can also add something else in and say that we're also designed to try to expend as little energy as possible. So we're designed to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and do so while expending as little energy as possible, okay? This all goes back to survival. So you can see why we would be designed to do that. Now, the thing is, when we go on some sort of a lifestyle change, we want to change up our habits, we're on a health transformation journey, a lot of people go about it the wrong way in a few different ways, but what they're doing is they're bringing on more pain, so to speak, and they're not tapping into this power of pleasure in order to be able to continue. So they end up falling off the bandwagon or, not being able to stay consistent, or they feel like it is such a struggle to, do the right thing, their plan and all that. So keep this in mind. If you, first of all, go too fast out of the gate, too quickly out of the gate, you're trying to change up everything. We've all been there. We've all done it. That's when you are like, okay, on Monday, I'm going to start this new diet. I'm going to work out for an hour and a half, and I'm going to, finally call my parents, whatever. You want to do all the things in the same day. We're not wired to be able to do that. So that's really hard. It feels nearly impossible. It feels like too much change all at once, and it feels painful to our brain. Our brain thinks that change is painful. You really have to coddle your brain, okay? So what we want to do in that case is we want to make these changes more gradually, more slowly. We want them to become, we want to practice them so they really become more of a habit, fit them into your lifestyle where you know where these things live, these different habits, so that you know when you're going to work out in your day. It's not like every day it's up in the air and you're going to try to squeeze it in, because guess what? It ain't happening if you do it that way. But if you know where you're going to nestle your workout in, and you know where you're going to drink that extra glass of water and all of those things, you fit it into your lifestyle, you practice it, it really becomes a habit. So we want to take on one thing at a time. We want to practice that one thing at a time, and that feels less painful, more pleasurable to our brain. The other big thing here, though, is the way that we think about these changes. So how many of you guys beat yourself up when you are not happy with a choice you've made? You think that if you're too gentle with yourself, then you will maybe fall off the wagon even more. Like, well, I can't just let it slide that I just, ate everything at the barbecue plus the dessert and had all of the drinks. I can't just let it slide, because if I do, then I'm going to think it's okay to do it next time, right? A lot of people have done that. That feels painful to our brain. Anytime that you're beating yourself up, not really physically, but I'm talking obviously through your thoughts, but anytime you are berating yourself, it is a painful experience to your brain. And what your brain is going to do is going to go in the opposite direction. It's going to say, this whole health change that Tara's on, this whole healthy lifestyle mission, this journey, this thing sucks. I'm just feeling pain. I'm just experiencing pain over here. So I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to do all the things in my power to try to get her away from the changes. I'm going to give her cravings. I'm going to turn up the hunger signals. I'm going to give her all the excuses in the world. Whereas if she's in a different state of mind, these different things that pop up might just feel like puzzle pieces that need to be fit together. They might just feel like hurdles that need to be overcome rather than roadblocks that are going to stop you in your tracks. But if you're not in the right frame of mind, everything feels like an excuse that's going to stop you. Everything will stop your progress. Any little thing, a busy day, a sad day, a happy day, a day that you want to go out and celebrate, a day that you're inside all day, a day that it's raining, a day that it's sunny, you can find excuses all over the place. Your brain is really good at that. And your brain is better at that when it's feeling pain. It doesn't want you to do those things, okay? So how can we then switch that, turn that upside down, and use this neuroscience that we know about our brains and the way they wire together to our benefit if you're trying to go on some sort of healthy lifestyle journey, you're trying to make a change? You have to really be gentle with yourself, give yourself a ton of grace, make your changes really slowly, and celebrate the heck out of everything. I don't mean that you need to reward yourself with, buying yourself something or getting a massage or whatever. Like, sometimes that stuff is great if you can do it. If you can do it, great. It doesn't need to be anything like that. It just needs to be internal. You just need to do a happy dance, either really do a happy dance or in your own head, every time that you've made a choice that you think in the past you would have made a different choice. So every time you take the stairs instead of taking the elevator, every time you take a few extra minutes in the kitchen when you're making dinner to, chop up some veggies to have them handy for the next day, every time you drink that extra glass of water, every time you didn't feel like moving your body, but you got your butt up off the couch and you did it anyway, those are the things that you need to celebrate. You need to just pause and be aware of the fact that you have made a different type of a choice along this journey as you're progressing, and wow, that's amazing. You celebrate yourself, you give yourself credit. Again, this can all just happen inside your head, and you could write it down. Sure, you can certainly journal about it. What's going to happen is that your brain is going to start to say, oh, that felt really good. It's getting that little hit of dopamine. It's a lot of times people think dopamine is released when we achieve a certain goal or a result, and we do get a little hit of dopamine at that time. It makes us feel good. But dopamine is also released sort of like little breadcrumbs on the way to progress. So when we feel like we're moving in the right direction, we get these little hits of dopamine along the way. And that's our body's way. Sorry, I don't know if you hear my kids, they're like, at least they're happy, but they're going crazy right now. And that's our way of knowing that we're sort of on the right track. So you can imagine for our ancestors, that they were feeling lazy, let's just say, and they had to go and hunt their next meal, and they just didn't want to, right? They would be motivated by things like feeling a lot of hunger. They would start to feel a bit agitated about that, right? And that's good because that would get them up out of the cave and going to hunt their food. Now, they don't just get that hit of dopamine when they get their first bite of their meal. That really wouldn't be as effective. What they get is little hits of dopamine as they spot their first animal they're about to hunt, and as they get a little closer, or they pick their berry or whatever. Along the way, you get these little hits of dopamine that make you feel good, and they reinforce the behaviors and the practices. So let's pull it back to now. It's 2020, and we are not hunting our food, most of us, but we get these little hits of dopamine when we feel like we're aligned with the track that we want to be on. So when we stop and we pause and we remind ourselves like, oh, yay, I'm so glad I just took the stairs instead of the elevator because that is what I had wanted to do, you allow yourself to get those little hits of dopamine so that you can reinforce what you're trying to do and keep yourself really on the track that you want to go. So it's two different things here. You want to make sure that you're avoiding the pain, and you also want to make sure that you are introducing the pleasure on purpose by celebrating every little thing that you do along the way. It's neuroscience. This stuff works. And I also want you to remember before I sign off that habits aren't just what you do, but habits are also what you don't do. So I think a lot of people forget this when they're talking about habits. They talk about the habit of smoking, or the habit of snacking before bed or something like that. But most people aren't talking about, or maybe even not aware of the fact that not working out is a habit. So inaction is a habit as well. So keep that in mind. The habits that you want include also inaction. The habits that you want to change can also include things that you're not currently doing but you want to be doing. The more we do something over and over again, the more those circuits are wired together and the more habitual they become. You can certainly break it, but one of the ways to break habits and introduce new habits is what I'm talking about here. Make sure that you are avoiding pain as much as possible, and make sure that you are introducing pleasure. If you have any questions besides what my kids are doing, because I don't know, Leave them in the comments. I will, of course, come back and answer them. And thank you guys so much for joining. Bye.